We're not going to actually program here, but I want to just give you, the scratch of the surface of what that entails when you are programming a compass control system. Once you are C1 certified, you will download the Compass Navigator software suite or the Compass Control software suite. So you have to be C1 certified. You download it from our website. There's going to be 5 total items inside. Compass Navigator is the programming software. That's where you make your projects. And then 4 managers that go along with it. The TCP/IP manager, RS-232 manager, and the IR database managers are where you can either create your own strings for IP and RS-232 control, where you can manage those. You can open existing and tweak them if you need. The IR manager, where you can learn IR codes from your remote if you need, or import Pronto Hex. And the master controller manager. That's where you can set the IP address of the master controller and load firmware and that kind of thing. You basically can do that now as well through our KeyDigital management software. So it's one and the same. And typically we steer people towards the KeyDigital management software. But since there's nothing wrong with keeping it included in the software suite, we do include it here as well. And actually, some of our older model master controllers, maybe that's a scenario where you would use the master controller device manager versus KDMS Pro KeyDigital management software. So here we have the Compass Navigator software. Take a look at that screen. You can see there's quite a bit there, okay? Just like other softwares, it takes some time to get used to, and there is a learning curve, but very, very important. I don't want you cursing us, so please have a widescreen monitor, okay? It operates in Windows only, okay? So you need to have a Windows computer in order to run this. It is one of the, yes, ironic elements of Compass Control is that it is iOS user interface, but programmed on Windows computers. Again, we use Compass Navigator, and from there you could either choose. Is this going to be a modular drag and drop program or a full custom project? And this is what it looks like when you start a new project, or oftentimes you may just open an existing project, save as, and work off of that for a new program. There's plenty of advanced features that are supported in Compass that our advanced programmers and programmers with loads of expertise really do appreciate. For example, our variable support. We support integer, string, Boolean, and floating type variables. The variables can be just local within each iPad, or if it's a variable holding value of something that should be shared amongst all the iPads. For example, something that would be local is, okay, I press the dining area and now I'm in the zone 1, selected zone equals 1. But what about the volume of the dining area? Well, let's say it's 0 through 100. If any iPad wants to, enter the dining room, they should all know as one user adjusts the volume, that variable could be broadcast, shared, so that every iPad knows, oh, the volume in zone 1 is now 25. On those variables, you can also place events and actions. So as the variable equals 25, now our slider value updates. So it goes from 100 down to 25. Okay, just one example of an event being stored on a variable. We do support index and arrays, so that if you're familiar with this concept, okay, there was a volume for zone 1. There's also a volume for zone 2, a volume for zone 3, et cetera, et cetera. You could either have multiple variables called volume zone 1, volume zone 2, volume zone 3, 3 variables there. Or you could just make one variable called zone volume, and it will be an array of an index called zone. And so now, instead of a variable being the classic analogy being a variable is a cup or a glass. Why? The variable has a name, cup or glass, but the value, it just holds that value. So what's inside? Is it water? Was this vodka? Was it gin, right? So that's a classic example of a variable, but an array variable is more like an accordion folder where, okay, this is volume and there's different slots. Zone 1, 25, zone 2, 75, zone 3, 65, right? So there you have it. And all of the bidirectional drivers are written in C language, and we do have a guide on this if you are C programmer, that if you need to see how those are written, we do have a guide we could share with you, but you would need to know basic C programming for that. And then there's a few KeyDigital isms in there. So you do your programming in Compass Navigator, as I went over already with you. To get that project into the iPad, that PC uploads it to our server, right? And that's just one of the 3 ways that you actually can interact with our server, because it's a pretty nice feature here. Another way is, I'm programmer for stage 1 of the project, and I want to hand it over to programmer for stage 2 of the project. When we are both C1 certified with the same email domain and the same company name, we will share, we will both be uploading and downloading to and from the same company folder. So it's a way that you can, hey, all right, I made a tweak. Let me upload it to the server. Great. Okay, I'm ready to pull it down, and I pull it down into a different PC. And similarly, of course, because it's being uploaded there, it stays there. You could use our server as secure file backup, right? And what you do there is there can only be, we load it by name, right? So just like in a folder on your computer, you can't have 2 files by the same name. So if you are somebody who is a little more efficient with your projects, you just keep naming them the same thing, and every time you upload, it's just going to overwrite that existing file that's there. But if you are somebody who likes to, have backup for things and see the progression of things, you could put today's date on the end of your project name, and you'll see every version of that you've uploaded with each date. And so, as I mentioned before, the iPad is the brain for Compass Control. So really, when the iPad retrieves that project from the file, it knows everything. And then when we, again, update the master controllers, that iPad syncs that information into the master controller about, hey, here's what you need to know about this system. But there is an instance of sometimes the master controller, the MC1000 anyhow, is capable of running events without the iPad. And those are scheduled events. And so that information would go from the PC into the MC1000, and that would be part of your programming step. And we do have a tech guide on our tech guides and videos page on how to do that.